This person took a photo late at night while heavy rain poured down. The image showed a backyard playground. The photographer lived at the property and knew the area well. He took the photo as part of an art project. But later, while reviewing the image, something unsettling stood out. In the background, partially obscured by rain and darkness, a human-like figure appears to be standing. Some believe the figure resembles a man wearing old-style clothing. Others argue it's nothing more than an optical illusion, created by shadows, rain streaks, and low light. The photographer insists that no one else was outside at the time, and that no one should have been in his backyard. Whether the image captured a real person, something paranormal, or simply a trick of the camera, remains unknown. This person was walking through the backyard of their apartment complex when something strange caught their attention. As they looked up, they noticed a person standing on top of a structure, watching from above. Instead of backing away or moving to a safer area, the person tried to get a clearer look and record what they were seeing. For a few seconds, the figure remained visible. Then, it disappeared. The person was left standing there alone, with no sign of where the figure went. The video ends without revealing who, or what, was standing there. A man living in a quiet neighborhood began noticing unusual activity coming from the house next door. The neighbor had a known history of mental illness, and over time, the situation appeared to worsen. The man repeatedly heard disturbing noises, grunting, shouting, and became increasingly aware that his neighbor was suffering inside the home. Concerned for the man's safety, he eventually contacted the police. Officers entered the house and made a horrifying discovery. The neighbor was found deceased from self-harm. The body was later laid to rest and the house was left empty. But days later, something unsettling happened. The man noticed a figure standing in the same window where he had seen his neighbor before and quickly started recording. As the camera rolled, the figure moved.
Miren, que alguien me explique qué rayos es eso.
To this day, he has no explanation for what he saw, or why something appeared in that window after the house was supposed to be vacant. Security camera footage from the rear entrance of a nursing home in Missouri captured the moments leading up to a devastating incident. In the video, a local police chief can be seen outside the building in the early morning hours, smoking a cigarette and appearing to extinguish it before leaving the area. Moments later, something went horribly wrong. On August 7th, 2025, a fire broke out at the Vienna Point residential care facility, quickly spreading through the structure. Flames tore through the roof, sending thick smoke into the sky. Fire crews arrived to find intense fire conditions and a limited water supply. Mutual aid tankers and additional crews were called in to help contain the blaze. All residents and staff were evacuated safely, and no injuries were reported. However, the building itself was completely destroyed and could not be saved. One evening in Tennessee, a man was standing in his front yard when something unusual caught his attention. High in the clouds, a blue light began to glow. The light pulsed repeatedly and remained confined to a single area of the sky. At first, he assumed it might be storm-related activity. But as he continued watching, the glow appeared to have a saucer-like outline within the clouds. He tried to record it, but the footage never became clear enough to reveal solid details. To this day, no official explanation has been released for what he captured that night. A family took a photo of their living room during the holidays. The Christmas tree stood near the windows, lights glowing softly as the room was filled with warmth. Just a simple picture meant to capture a happy memory. But later, while going through the Christmas photos, the grandmother noticed something no one else had seen at the time. Outside the window in their backyard, a figure appeared. It looked tall and human-like, standing close to the glass. The shape seemed to be wearing what resembled a white robe. It didn't look like a reflection, and it didn't resemble a shadow. It looked as if someone was standing there. The grandmother became visibly shaken. She believed the figure resembled her late husband, appearing as he had in his younger years. He had passed away many years before the photo was taken. The image left the family deeply unsettled, unsure whether it was a real person outside their home, a trick of light, or something from the past quietly revealing itself that night. A woman in the Philippines shared footage of a disturbing series of incidents happening at her home. Every night, exactly at 1 a.m., someone knocked on her door. The knocking was loud, continuous, and impossible to ignore. Too frightened to open the door, she stayed inside and recorded only the sounds. Desperate for answers, she shared the footage online. Almost everyone asked the same thing. Who could be knocking, and why, every night, at the exact same time? The following night, she decided to investigate. At 1 a.m., the knocking began again. Slowly, she opened the curtains. Outside stood an elderly woman wearing torn clothes, crouched low, holding a stick. Before anything could be said, the figure suddenly turned and walked away. Police were later called and searched the area. They found no one and no evidence that anyone had been there. To this day, no explanation has been given for who was knocking on her door every night. Residents in Cape Coral, Florida, reported something unusual happening over their neighborhood. A low-flying aircraft was seen passing over homes while projecting a bright green laser onto the ground below. The activity was captured on several home security cameras. In the footage, the laser appears to move in straight, deliberate lines, scanning large sections of the area. Confused and concerned, residents contacted local authorities for clarification. Officials stated that standard aircraft do not use green lasers. However, they did not identify the aircraft involved, nor did they provide an explanation for the purpose of the flights. To this day, no clear public explanation has been given for what was scanning the neighborhoods of Cape Coral. The following footage was uploaded by the YouTube channel Urban Exploration on August 24, 2016. What it captured left many deeply unsettled. In the video, a man dressed in a black hoodie can be seen standing outside an apartment building near a staircase. He doesn't move, he doesn't gesture, he simply stands there. According to the video description, this wasn't a one-time sighting. The same man reportedly appeared in the exact same spot for 4 days in a row. Eventually, the person filming decides to go outside and investigate. But when they arrive, he's gone. The man never attempted to enter the building. He never interacted with anyone. He was simply there. To this day, his identity and his reason for standing in that spot night after night remains unknown. A security camera was recording the backyard late at night. For the first few seconds, nothing unusual appears. Then, without warning, a fast-moving shape streaks across the frame. The movement lasts only a brief moment and offers no clear detail. The person who uploaded the video was unable to identify what passed through the scene. Some believe it could have been an insect, close to the lens and moving quickly. Others aren't so sure. With so little visible evidence, there's no clear answer to what the camera captured that night. A man and his wife experienced something truly strange inside their home. During the day, the man began hearing knocking coming from the backyard door. He checked the area, but no one was there.
Hear it? Huh.
Later that night, they said the situation escalated. The wife was jolted awake by a loud knocking at the front door. Their dog immediately began growling, fixed on the door as if someone was standing there. When she opened it, there was no one outside. These incidents didn't happen just once. They repeated over time, and each time, no clear explanation could be found. On September 11th, 2013, Dominic Mancuso uploaded the first video and would become a 6-part series on his YouTube channel. The videos detail an ongoing conflict with his neighbors, one that escalated without warning. He stated that he never knew how it began. There was no argument, no confrontation, no clear incident that triggered it. Yet Dominic claimed his neighbors began watching him closely, reacting to his movements and actions around his home. Over time, their behavior grew more frequent and more intrusive. He said it made him feel targeted, unsafe, and constantly observed, even inside his own house. For months, Dominic continued recording, hoping to capture an explanation or a turning point, but none ever came. There were no demands, no threats, and no communication explaining why it was happening. The behavior simply continued. Eventually, the series ended. There was no resolution, no answers, and no explanation for why the situation began at all. To this day, what Dominic was experiencing and why remains unexplained. Late one night, a homeowner was jolted awake by a notification from his doorbell camera. When he checked the footage, he was shocked by what he saw. A person was standing at his front door, attempting to get inside. The encounter was happening in the middle of the night. Concerned for his safety, the homeowner spoke through the camera and told the person that he had called emergency services. Almost immediately, the situation changed. The individual outside turned away, left the property, and disappeared into the darkness. The incident ended without further confrontation, but it left the homeowner with unsettling questions. Who was the person at his door, and what might have happened if the alert hadn't woken him up in time? One evening, while spending time with friends, 2 women took a photo together using an old camera. When the picture was printed later, everything appeared normal at first. But in the dark space behind them, something unusual stood out. A shape appeared that looked like a face, and part of an upper body emerging from the darkness. Neither woman remembered anyone standing behind them at the time, and the person who took the photo insisted the area had been empty. Some have suggested possible explanations, such as a reflection, motion blur, or light distortion passing through glass. Those explanations are certainly possible, but others point out the details in the face. The shape, positioning, and apparent features make the image harder to dismiss. Whether it was a trick of the camera, an altered photo, or something that truly shouldn't have been there, the image has continued to unsettle those who've seen it. The YouTube channel Into the Wild shared this footage captured by a security camera on a rural property. The land had recently been purchased, and the new owners were monitoring the area for safety reasons when something unexpected was recorded. In the footage, a dark figure can be seen up in a tree. Slowly, it appears to move downward along the trunk, its shape difficult to make out in the low light. Then, a bright flash suddenly illuminates the area. Just as quickly as it appears, the light vanishes, and the scene returns to darkness. Moments later, a man enters the frame carrying a flashlight. He carefully checks the trees and the surrounding area, but he finds nothing unusual. After witnessing the footage, the property owners decided to continue monitoring the land. But what exactly happened that night, and what the camera captured in the trees, remains a mystery. This person noticed a large dark figure in his backyard and quickly took a photo. The person who shared the image claimed it showed Bigfoot. But unsurprisingly, the photo is potato quality, making it impossible to clearly identify what was captured. No distinct features can be seen. It could be a person, an animal, or simply pareidolia, the brain seeing a familiar shape where none actually exists. With so little visual detail, there's no way to confirm what was in the garden that day. These men were outside when they suddenly spotted a creature that looked almost unreal. At first glance, it appeared large and intimidating, with long wings and an unusual body shape. It turned out to be a Corydaleidae, more commonly known as a Dobson fly. Dobson flies are among the largest flying insects in North America, with wingspans that can reach up to 6 inches. Despite their frightening appearance, Dobson flies are not aggressive and rarely bite. One night, a woman was inside her apartment when she looked out toward the mountains. That's when she noticed something unusual in the sky. Glowing blue lines appeared, moving slowly above the landscape. The shapes looked long and fluid, shifting gently as they crossed the sky. Unsure of what she was witnessing, she recorded the scene on her phone. Some suggested the effect may have been caused by light reflecting off the window glass from inside the apartment. That explanation is possible, but I'm not fully convinced that's what it was. Beyond that, I don't have a clear answer for what she saw that night. Late one night, a family received a notification from their home security system. When they checked the footage, they noticed something unusual. A small, human-like figure appeared in their backyard. The figure moved close to the house, walked across the yard, and then exited the frame. No clear details could be made out, only its size, shape, and movement were visible. The homeowner later suggested it might resemble a duende, a small being from Latin American and Iberian folklore, often said to inhabit rural or hidden areas. But the true identity of the figure remains unverified. This 35mm photograph was taken inside an old abandoned house in Ithaca, Michigan. At the time, the house was completely empty. The same family had lived there since the 1950s. The woman who owned it before was eventually institutionalized. According to relatives, she was convinced a piano played non-stop in the basement, even when no one was home. Deep scratch marks were later found carved into the basement door. Nothing unusual was noticed when this photo was taken. But after the film was developed, a detail emerged that no one remembered seeing. In the window appeared what looked like 2 children. No one had been near the house that day. Given the home's history, the image wasn't dismissed, but kept as a disturbing record of something never meant to be captured. The image was captured by a trail camera placed in a backyard. When it was reviewed later, the owner noticed something unsettling. Someone appeared to be standing in the yard at night, but only in a single frame. The figure seemed to lack facial features and almost looked partially transparent. There was no recorded movement before or after the image was taken, and it made little sense for anyone to be there, as the home is located deep in the woods. It remains unclear whether this was a camera glitch or something unexplained. One morning, a man captured a photo in his cornfield near Mason Ridge with his security camera. The image shows a mysterious upright figure moving between the rows. The town has a long history of stories about the Ridge Weasel Man, a figure said to appear near farms and wooded areas at night. Several residents reported strange animal sounds and distressed livestock shortly before officials arrived. The photo quickly spread online. Its quality is low, similar to many Bigfoot sightings, not very convincing. But who knows? The owner of this footage says his home security camera captured something unusual in his backyard. On the right side of the frame, a faint shape briefly appears. At first glance, it could easily be dismissed, a glitch, dust, or a trick of the light. But what made the moment feel different was the timing. The clip was recorded on the birthday of the owner's late grandmother. Because of that, the image carried a deeper meaning for him. While many viewers see nothing more than a technical artifact, the owner couldn't help but wonder if it was something else entirely. A small sign. This home security camera footage was captured near a residential property in Long Island. Late at night, the camera recorded something unusual wandering near the property. At first glance, the shape appears humanoid, but it doesn't clearly resemble a person. The head looks large and elongated, and the eyes appear dark and oversized. The object it's carrying seems small and faintly glowing, though the low light makes details difficult to confirm. Some viewers have claimed the footage shows an alien figure carrying a baby. However, there are no reports of a missing child connected to the video, and no official statements support that theory. Others believe the footage could show a person in a costume or possibly digitally altered video. With no confirmed source, no verified context, and no official investigation, the origin and authenticity of the footage remain unverified. The niece of a Reddit user shared some unsettling footage captured by her backyard security camera around 1:51 a.m. The clip is only 3 seconds long, but it shows something disturbing. A dark shape suddenly crashes into a window. The impact is strong enough to make the curtain shift, suggesting whatever hit the glass did so with significant force. It could just have been an animal or a bird colliding with the window. However, the low quality of the footage, combined with how fast the moment happens, makes it extremely difficult to identify exactly what struck the glass. The camera captured no follow-up movement. And that's not all. For more scary backyard encounters, just watch this next video.